You're watching Mugen TV RPG Haven. Experience a fantasy like no other.
Hey guys, it's MugenLord here, and I'm back again with another Final Fantasy 7 Remake video. And this video, I really wanted to just get into a discussion about this is because just recently, Yoshinori Kitase has been interviewed, and a lot of people had a lot of questions regarding Final Fantasy 7 Remake and to the reasons why they decided to even remake Final Fantasy 7 to begin with, and not only that, why they took the liberties to pretty much make Final Fantasy 7 into a multi-game epic instead of making it into one whole game. And I decided that it was best for me just to really just like dive into this, because in the recent article at GameSpot, he pretty much took the liberties to explain his reason why, that he also wanted to pretty much not make this game a 100% one-to-one remake, and he wanted to do some drastic changes, and he wanted to also focus on Midgard. And in the article, he stated at GameSpot, he was saying that if we were to make a 100% one-to-one remake of the original game, just follow the story exactly as it was and not change anything, I think people would like it, but it would just be, oh yeah, I remember this was great, how nostalgic, and that's all you get. So I think that with this Final Fantasy 7 remake, it looks like Yoshinori Kitase really not just wanted to, hit the original fans of Final Fantasy 7. He wanted this to be a game to be remembered for the new generation, just the same way that the original Final Fantasy 7 was remembered by the OGs, the original fans, such as myself. So he wanted to take the liberties to make it just be something memorable, a brand new experience for not only just the newer players, but also for gamers who has been fans of the original. So he also wanted to do that, and he wanted to take that under consideration as well. And he said, we have to meet people's expectations, give them what they want to see, but we have to go beyond that and really exceed their expectations and give them new surprises as well. So it was something we had to pay a lot of attention to, and we were very careful. It didn't just stop at, yeah, that was a great game, I remember this. We had to go farther and provide a new experience. And part of the new experience and part of having Final Fantasy VII once again reach for an even broader audience came in this radical modernization of its combat system. And as much as an RPG fans still love a great turn-based battle system, it was never really on the cards for the remake. And that's the thing, we in this new generation, a lot of us classic OG Final Fantasy VII fans love turn-based. We love turn-based combat system. That's something that we remember, and it's becoming more and more of the past. And we live in a new generation to where everything has to be fast-paced, action-based, and it just keep the adrenaline rushing. And they know when approaching Final Fantasy VII Remake that if they're going to put all this money into making this remake, reach out to that broader audience. And when reaching out to that broader audience, there are more fans and younger fans out there who are more familiar with the fast-paced action combat system than the turn-based combat system. And it's sad to say that there's a lot of even reviewers and a lot of people who would judge a RPG based on the turn-based. They would take a point off of some RPGs based on the fact that it is a turn-based game, which I believe is really disheartening. I just think that's just silly on that aspect of the fact is that it's turn-based, that it deserves to lose points for that. But to continue on, as I quote Kitase explained that it's to do with the changing taste of the fan base of the Final Fantasy franchise as a whole. We've got a lot of younger gamers now, and they are like that very instinctive action style control. There is a whole new generation who has likely never played Final Fantasy VII, and the focus on refining the heavy action is to cater to that new younger audience who are familiar with that and expect that. Kind of a way, we are pretty much taking a back seat as the original Final Fantasy VII fans, because like I said, when it comes to the mainstream audience and what's going on and what's trending and what's more current, that pretty much outnumbers us, outweigh us, and they pretty much want to cater to that while still keeping some of those liberties intact in order to entice some of the original fans who's been supporting Final Fantasy VII for the longest. And also they want to make us go out there and tell the newer audience to pretty much, hey, I remember Final Fantasy VII growing up, and this is what it was like, and it was really a great game. You should go check this out, despite some of the changes that they have made to the game. Now, this is another interesting quote or a piece of this interview that I want to talk about as well. So I quote, "But this is all in the service of being able to make Final Fantasy VII memorable characters and powerful themes such as environmentalism, terrorism, life and death, among others, can live on. Thinking about Final Fantasy VII themes in the world that Remake is releasing and certainly makes them seem more relevant than ever. We have like climate change and radicalism might immediately come to mind for some, but Kitase was very hesitant to draw any correlations or speak about increased emphasis in Remake." This is what I like, because I'm going to go into this because he says obviously it's still a fantasy world. It's a fantasy game, and the concepts of Mako energy and the live stream are very much fantasy concepts. We aren't specifically trying to make a comment on any one specific thing or say anything specific about the real world issues through that. We're trying to make it more timeless and universal themes, and which I really appreciate what Kitase is saying. He really dodged this bullet and he answered this really well. And the thing is, we live in a current era where we have a lot of activists in gaming right now, especially with gaming journalism and with these gaming journalists where they want game developers to press on social issues and political issues in their video games, and it's really turning away a lot of gamers because gamers don't want to be preached to and talked down to. And there's a lot of social justice that goes on in video games, especially more so in Western games more than ever. There's a lot of political activism going on, social political activism going on, and I like the fact is that Kitase is saying that no, we're not pressing on any of these issues in the real world. This is still a fantasy world, and this is still a video game, and we want to keep it as such. Yes, some of the issues that goes on in this game can be related to the real world, but this is not definitely something that we can say that, hey, we're speaking about this issue that's going on currently right now in the real world. It's just there's things that you can relate to it, but that's not pointing out anything that's going on right now, and that's good. And that's how you keep fans happy, and that's how you also bring in more fans as well, because you're not segregating the fan base. You're not trying to say one side of the political spectrum or the social spectrum is evil and wrong and the other side is right and for justice and stuff like that. It's just a game, and the game is supposed to bring everybody of all political views, social views, and religious views, and bring everybody together into like one thing, which is the game itself, Final Fantasy VII. So I really appreciate that he took the liberty to really bring that into perspective, to say, hey, we're just a video game, it's just a fantasy world, and we're not trying to be any political activists and everything. So that's something that I really wanted to pretty much elaborate on. I thought was pretty interesting, and to the fact is that he really wants to really want to make this an experience for everybody to remember, and he wants Final Fantasy VII to have that impact on a new audience, like the original had done with gamers like me back in the day, when the original was very passionate about these type of games and was introduced to this. And despite them working on games, like in the article says, like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 6 at the time, 7 was something that was really big for them, especially them stepping into the whole 3D space with 3D models. They wanted to make the characters much more expressive, and it seemed like they took that to a whole new level with the Final Fantasy VII Remake and how expressive these characters are. They more real to life, and I really appreciate that, especially with my favorite characters such as Cloud, Tifa, Barrett, the whole entire gang, and then also the environments themselves really came to life, and I'm looking forward to explore what Midgard has to offer in this multi-game epic of Final Fantasy VII Remake. So that pretty much wraps up this video. Definitely want to hear what your thoughts are with Kitase and his take on Final Fantasy VII Remake and what he wants to do and how he's going to approach this multi-game epic going forward. Definitely want to hear your thoughts. If you like the video, share it, pass it around, helps me in the algorithm, like it. And also, you want to hear more news related to Final Fantasy VII and just anything Square Enix related, hit the bell to be notified. This is MugenLord signing off. See you Game Fiends later. Peace out. It looks like you reached the end of the video. Well, while you're at it, check out some of my other discussion videos by clicking on the annotations below, and don't forget to follow me on other social media platforms to stay up to date with future content. Signing off.